What's the temperature in Clearwater?
It's 66 degrees right now in Clearwater.
Going for 80. Hello, everybody. This is TD, man. I'm coming to you from the Dead Pecker Club right here at Prairie Creek Breakfast Club, and I'm doing a solo this morning for about 10 or 15 minutes, talk about some things that were on my mind. And the number one thing that's on my mind is that the weather is starting to look a little like we got snow on the ground out there. I'm looking at it right now. Even that, I can smell spring coming around. It's around the corner, and you know what that means? That means March Madness. It means baseball's firing up. Super Bowl's going to come on Sunday. We got so many sports. Sports fans always have something wonderful around the bend. There's always that next great thing coming around. People that are interested in politics and government and all that, they just get one disappointment after another. They live in despair. That's why I got out of it and moved over to the sports people, because even though we take a thumping every once in a while, most of the time we're quite happy because it's sports is happy. Everybody goes there to be happy, and they drink a lot of stuff to make them happy. They got happy stuff up there, and now you can drink happy stuff at college games, which is when I grew up as a young man and on through life. That was totally irresponsible. Would never, we would think that would never happen, that they would sell alcohol at college games, but they do now. And so all the beer lovers are happy at the game, even more so than they were before. So having said that, the Razorbacks play uh, tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock. Can you believe that? That's another thing. We always played on Friday and Saturday nights. We don't play it Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. But that's how that's that TV money, and that's what they do a lineup, and they get their right of way on how things go down, because I guess they're the boss. The TV's the boss. The media is the boss of everything because they got all the money. I don't know. But anyway, we got the Alabama Crimson Tide. We're going to be playing at their place, and they have already beaten Gonzaga, and Baylor was the champion last year. So it's going to be hell to pay. We just come off this big old game against Auburn, where we knocked off the number one team in the United States. Now, for our prize, we get to go down to Tuscaloosa and fight one of the best Alabama teams they've ever put on the floor. So there's no rest for the weary in this game. I mean, man, you might celebrate one night, but you better get ready because you're getting into war the next day. So we're so happy that the snow's melted off, and that our temperatures are running up in the 60s now. So everybody that's pissed off or ugly or not happy, we don't want you around us because we're happy. And we don't want old spoiled sports around us. And because you should be happy too. The weather's good. They're selling at high prices around here. That should make you happy. People are getting a lot more for their homes nowadays, especially around here in Northwest Arkansas, which, by the way, is right at the top of where everybody wants to live. I don't know if y'all realize that out there, but if you want to live in a really fine community, you need to come over here to Northwest Arkansas. But don't tell everybody. We don't want to grow too fast. We just want to grow a little bit at a time. So we're really happy to live here. We've got Walmart, Tyson's. We got all kinds of trucking companies here. We got good lakes, good fishing, good sports. We got it all. And we don't want everybody to come, but we like the good people to come, the people that, small business people. That's what we like. We like small business people. We want you to come, set your tent up here, put your shingle out front, and sell whatever you want to do, whatever you want, and have fun and enjoy life. All right, let's see, we've covered the sports. We'll get into a little politics. I guess Ukraine, They're telling everybody to get their butts out of there. If they blow it up, get out of Ukraine because the Russians are coming. I think they did a movie like that once, didn't they? The Russians are coming, and they don't never stop. They just keep coming, and they'd like to take over the world. We all know that. You can look at that little feller there, Pootie, old Pootie. You can look at old Pootie and tell he wants to take over the world. He's got that Napoleonic syndrome. You know, he's just a little bitty feller, and you know how little bitty fellers are. They want to be big, take over the world. So they've got everything lined up over at Ukraine, which I've never been to, by the way, but I wanted to go to Dubrovnik. Is that in Ukraine, fellas? Isn't that the capital of Ukraine? I looked at some pictures of Dubrovnik, and it's a beautiful, beautiful city, worth visiting. I hope they don't shoot them bombs over there on them pretty buildings, pretty stuff they got in Dubrovnik. I don't want them to mess that up. Mess up them old empty fields out there and all that trees and all that stuff. But don't shoot nothing into those fine cities that we American people and everybody else likes to visit. Next, a stop on the cruise ship. It's a coastal city as well in Ukraine. But I'm not. It might be Croatia that I'm thinking about. Having been a hillbilly from Arkansas, we don't know too much about certain areas of our world, but they got so many countries and divides over there, especially in that area there where it's so cold, just right underneath Russia. It's I don't see how anybody'd like to live there, but unfortunately, or fortunately, there are people that do. So they have thriving communities over there in that old cold weather. In Arkansas, we get 4 distinct seasons. We've always been very proud of that. And it's hot in the summer, it's cold in the winter. Our springs are quite lovely, and our autumns and falls are just gorgeous. I think we got more trees in our state than any other state. At least I think we're right up there with the best of them. Now they're not they're not sequoias now, they're not redwoods, but don't get me wrong, but we just got a lot of trees, a lot of species that really have a magnificent color. We're a colorful state. As you can see with my jacket on, I'm representing today the Cardinal and White of the Arkansas Razorbacks, who is my favorite team and has been ever since I was about 7, 8 years old. And I'm 70 now, so I've been following the Hogs for 63 years. So that's a pretty good record for me. I don't talk to many people that's been around here that long. Most of the people I know are transplants from Iowa and Wisconsin and all that kind of stuff. They come down here because their money's worth more here. But don't tell nobody. Don't tell nobody. I don't want to get bull rushed in here. And we're growing fast enough. We don't want to get any faster. We're just steady as you go. All right. So turning around and checking on what's going on the big screen and just a bunch of commercials. If anybody wants to come out and bring us some real good lunch, it's working up that way. We're all with Catfish John's. Y'all can stop at Catfish John's there and get us a fish sandwich with a pickle. Don't forget my pickle. And I am a dill pickle. For y'all that don't know it, that's my nickname is Pickle. I like to tell the girls I'm a sweet pickle. And then, of course, I tell the boys I'm a dill pickle. That's salty. I'm a salty pickle. So anyway, when I was in high school, I hit 20 points a game. My average was 20. And if we'd had a three-point line, my average would have been 25. So I was a producer, a scorer, a point guard. And I'm still producing after all these years. I'm still a producer. I am not a consumer. I am a producer. I want you guys to know that. And I want to inspire you guys to be producers. Don't just be an old useless drinker and an old useless eater. Be a producer. Get up off your lazy butt and produce. Sell somebody something. If you can't do nothing else, go Go up there and stand at Walmart and say hi to everybody that comes through the door. That's a good job. Everybody like, but get off your lazy ass and produce. Don't just consume, 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 because that you'll end up in a terrible situation. All right, man, we'll take a drink of coffee now. I got that just full of Bailey's cream. So if I stumble a little bit in my words, I'm drinking Bailey's and coffee this morning, one of my favorite drinks. It's got just enough alcohol content to keep me smooth in the morning. And you know, everybody wants to be smooth. Can you say smooth operator? Well, that's what you want to be, a producing smooth operator that's that just loves people and loves everybody, and wants to share his sunshine with everybody else. Speaking of sharing sunshine, we got a fella coming in now that hadn't been on for a while. He's had open heart surgery. They took his heart out of his chest and played ping pong with it up there at Cleveland Clinic. And by George, slapped it back in there and sewed him up, and he's come back up here and he's stronger than ever. And boy, I want him to come up here and sit in my position and tell everybody what a wonderful world that he sees out there today.
I got my own camera.
Let there be no further ado.
All right.
Dan, Dangerous David. Come on up,
Let's get
David.
the dangerous part right. But I tell you what, I just have to put a shout out to James Redmond, who is sitting behind me, he's making all this happen. And this is believe it or not, a comedy podcast. So we have to think of some really funny stories. So, well, let's see. Back in college, I was hanging with a kid named Christopher. Cop was his name, and he was a nice guy. He was learning how to liquefy coal, make it a lot more usable, and he had a couple degrees under his name, and his best friend was Jack Daniels, and he just really enjoyed Jack Daniels, and they hung out all the time. And we would jump in his little VW and run down along. We went to this little college along the Ohio River. And so we'd jump down there and drive along the Ohio River, just farmland, and there's cows and goats. And so we had a really good time just going out there and talking to the goats and the cows. And we call it road popping because we'd put a case of beer in the back seat and throw a bag of ice on top of it, and then we'd drink it. There's three of us, and the person in the back seat we'd call the beer bitch, and he'd hand the beer up. Unless we were out of the car, we had to get a road. So one time we were doing that, and we came back, and of course we'd all been drinking, had to pee, so we were kind of coming in hot to the dorm. There out in front of our vehicle, standing in the middle of the parking lot, was General Norman Schwarzkopf. Of course, now, he was just a colonel at the time. And he was stark raving mad. Just stark. I guess Christopher is supposed to have been there earlier and forgot about it. And so we all had our windows down. We came in hot on two wheels. We had to stop right in front of him. And I was driving because Christopher was 2 sheets to the wind. And he pulled me out through that little itty bitty window and slammed me up against the car and told me that he was going to rip my head off and shit down my neck hole. And I was believing it. I was raised by like 5 women, and I never heard that sort of talk. And next thing you know, he felt his thigh getting wet because I was peeing all over him. I just couldn't hold it in anymore, and he threw me across that parking lot and made the biggest humph you ever heard, and walked off. Then the two doors of the VW swung open, and the two other guys in the car, including his son, just took off. And there you have it. Boy, I tell you what, old Norman Schwarzkopf sure knows how to ruin a buzz. But, golly gee willikers. But, moving right along. uh, on the eve of my 30th birthday, I decided I had a calling, and it was to be a nurse. And so I immediately went to school and became a nurse. And it was the best thing I ever did. I got to meet a lot of people, and it's just me, my personality. You know, I enjoy taking care of people. But I really don't want the really big decision-making jobs like the doctor because, you know, you take that stuff home with you. It'd be good just to have a shift. You do your shift work, do a good job, and you hand it on to somebody else rather than having all that stuff hanging over your head. But other people like that, thank God. But moving right along, oh, I've had some really funny stories in nursing. I'm trying to think of a way I can change the name to protect the innocents, but then we'll save that for another time. And James has been around the world many times. He's a professional videographer, and he's probably got some funny stories. I tell you, one of the funniest stories I've ever heard, I can never get tired hearing it, was when the one Terry tells about his friend Tom going to the baseball box seat up there where all the big shots are. Everybody's dressed to the T's, and he brings Tom with him. And I believe is this a Baum Stadium in Fayetteville? Yeah, it's a Baum Stadium. Brings him up there, and I'll be darned, they're all
That's a
watching.
hell of a name for a stadium, isn't it?
Baum.
Bomb
It's
Stadium.
it's
It's the bomb. That's a hell of a name for.
so everybody else is watching the game. He's in there working that table with all the food on it. He makes one pass and two passes. The guy that took care of the table was sitting in the corner. Yes, Tom didn't know he was sitting there,
Excuse.
and he was watching it all. So he ate everything, every little bit of food on that buffet table. And after he got done with that, he went over to the liquor cabinet, sorted through everything, found the best bottle of scotch that he could find in there, and then proceeded to drink the whole thing. Then he went to the bathroom, and he stayed in there for like 30 minutes. And there's a big line of women waiting out there, like 5 women in their high heels. And finally, he opens the door, and like water with sewage in it comes floating out, and the girls are jumping around on their heels trying to keep their shoes good, and it just smelled like hideousness. And there was Tom with that shit-eating grin saying, "Terry, it's time to go."
Let's get out of here.
And Terry's like,
Everybody has a. Everybody has a time. You know, that was. I would have just literally hated on my friend Tom, but it was so funny.
so what did the box manager tell
He
you?
said, Terry, if you bring Tom back up here again, I promise you, I'll never let you stay in the box again. And I know you love the sweet, but never bring him back because he is a danger to himself and everyone else that he comes in contact with. And
Oh,
we're
poor
going to end it
Tom.
right there this morning. I know we're going a little short. Dan's he's going to get juiced up a little bit. We might come back and with some dynamite stuff. But remember one thing: it doesn't ever cost you one extra cent to be a good sport. So be a good sport, guys.